Hello folks, it's me again, Amanda Enderman, your trusty tour guide in the wonders of the wonderful city, also known as Rio de Janeiro. I am beyond shocked to have found out after my research to make this video that surprisingly the other religions, which were not the Roman Catholic, some of them kept on being persecuted even after Brazil's independence. I was certain that this would be over by then, but apparently not. And this is precisely what I'm going to talk about in this very video. On part 1 of Praying in Rio, I discussed the Roman Catholic religion in Imperial Rio, and now on part 2, I'm gonna talk about the other religions. But before I get right on to the theme of the video, I have to remind you that I'm currently offering walking tours through the city of Rio, and all of these are described on my website, which the link will be in the description box below, as well as in the first fixed comment. So all you have to do is click there, text me via WhatsApp, that's very important, make your reservations, and then let's get to know the city of Rio in person, folks! With me, Amanda Enderman, your trusty tour guide, of course. And now without further ado, let's get right on to the theme of the video. It's interesting that religion is always a subject which extends quite a bit. I said before in the video Praying in Rio during Imperial times that the Constitution of 1824 established in its 5th article that the official religion of Brazil was the Roman Catholic religion. Naturally, church and state weren't separate at all during this time. And what this meant for the other religion was also, according to that same constitution, that religious freedom, 100%, was restricted to the Roman Catholic religion.
But Amanda, so there wasn't religious freedom in Brazil even after the independence?
More or less, you see. There were plenty of loopholes in regards to that. The first of them being that already in the project of a constitution, which was done in 1823, remember that I talked about in the video Constituting in Rio, it was discussed and agreed that the freedom of religious practice was only permitted for Christian communities, and the other communities would only be tolerated. Notice that they didn't say at first Roman Catholic, they said Christian. This, of course, opens a loophole to include 100% religious freedom for Protestant religions as well. After all, they are also Christian. However, this constitution was only on paper. The constitution, which actually was the first constitution of Brazil as an independent nation, was the Constitution of 1824, which was the one which said that the official religion would be the Roman Catholic religion. And it stated, apart from that, that the other religions would be allowed to freely practice, do their own thing, and what have you, as long as they practiced in buildings which did not look like temples. What exactly did this mean for each of the other religions which existed or came to exist in this time? Firstly, I'm going to begin by the Protestant religion. There were other legislative loopholes as well that they could take advantage of. One of these was the Treaty of 1810 signed with England, in which it was established that Portugal would give full freedom of religion to the British. And we have to keep in mind that several of the Protestant denominations came from England. The Anglicans, also Methodist, Quaker, the First Baptist Church. However, in regards to Anglicanism, for instance, the project of the first Anglican temple in Rio was only approved following the Constitution of 1824 after the windows were remodeled to resemble the windows of a regular home in the Evaristo da Veiga street. The next other religious community that I'm going to talk about is the African religion. the ones practiced by those who were still slaves even after the independence, because let's recall, slavery hadn't been abolished yet. The slaves practiced their religions still much like they did in colonial times, ever since they first came here, in what were called special temples, but actually in practice they were outdoors and in distant places which were isolated or in hills, and this was due to, guess what? The police persecuting them, and also because of the non-belief and irony of light-skinned people. Lord help us. Now I'm gonna talk about, you probably guessed it, that religious community which existed here ever since 1342, by the way, which was the Jewish community. Putting myself in their shoes, if I were a Jew during this time and read what was written in the Constitution, that all I had to do in order to freely practice my religion without being persecuted, after all the hardcore persecution that they actually went through during the whole colonial period, that all I have to do now is practice it in a building which does not look like a temple in their eyes, I would have been saying Mazel Tov at the top of my lungs and dancing the night away celebrating. By the way, Jews who might be watching this video, let me know in the comment section below what it was like at this time in your countries, meaning in the 19th century, if religious freedom for you guys was made better, if life in general was made better or not, and why. I would love to know. I know historically and in generic terms, but I would love to know in more specific terms, because there might be countries that I know nothing about, so leave it in the comment section. The oldest synagogue in Rio, in case you're wondering, is the Israeli Union Shel Gelimut Hasidim, founded in 1840, and the actual place where it was put was a regular two-story house, much like common houses that were built during this time, so following the Constitution, in the Praça da República, crossing the street Senhor dos Passos, which is in the downtown area of Rio. Nowadays, it is in the neighborhood of Botafogo, and though I've never been there in person, I assume that now, because, you know, the Constitution of 1824 is no longer in place, perhaps it looks much more like a temple. Also, the very first Jewish entity in Brazil dates back to this time, and it was instituted, mind you, by decree in January 28th, 1873, and in its first article, it stated the following.
The purpose of this society is to help any Israeli which finds himself going through hardships.
Therefore, it was a philanthropic society. And here is the million-dollar question answered. For those of you who are not Jewish, and you always suspected that within the Jewish community, whenever one Jew is having, I don't know, a hard time making ends meet, we've all been there, nothing to be ashamed of, that the rest of the community get together and help those who are in need, you are absolutely right, at least when it comes to Brazil. And it was actually established by decree, which makes it official. Now I'm gonna talk about spiritualism. And yes, I am talking about the spiritualism which first began during the 19th century, promoted initially by Allan Kardec, or his actual name, Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail. While the other religions already existed before the 19th century, spiritualism came to be in the 19th century, and it began with what were called moving tables in France. It was literally a way of communicating with spirits who had already departed through tables which would move, and the movement of the table would indicate the answer of the spirits to certain questions which were made. Allan Kardec saw those tables as a kid in France, but he didn't pay much mind to them as things that we see ourselves when we are children. But when he was an adult already, he started receiving messages directly from the spirits and without needing to use any moving tables or moving objects of any kind. He received direct messages, and with these direct messages that he received, he put them together in the form of questions and answers into a book which he called the Book of the Spirits, which was first published in France in 1857, and that became, shall we say, the primary scripture of spiritualism. And spiritualism goes by the following principles: the existence of God, the immortality of the soul or spirit, the possibility of communicating with spirits if the person deserves it, which is a combination of wanting and being able to. And according to them, everyone has this ability, even though in everyone it is dormant at first and it awakens or not. Moving on, they believe that there are many different worlds composing the spirit world. In fact, they classify the many planets in the universe as being these different categories of worlds, and that charity is fundamental for any spirit to reach perfection, helping the needy and so on. In 1860, Professor Casimir Leutold, forgive my very possibly wrong pronunciation, which was the founder of the French school in Rio, published the translation to Portuguese of the books, also written by spiritualist mediums. The times are here, and spiritualism in its most simple expression. And also in this same time, the first spiritualist sessions were held by French people in Rio. Furthermore, in 1873, the very first organized spiritualist institution was founded in Rio, which was called Society of Spiritualist Studies, Confucius Group. And in this society, the only scripture that they were allowed to follow were the principles and concepts established in the Book of the Spirits and in the Book of the Mediums. Everything was fine and dandy until in 1881, guess who came knocking at the door? You guessed it, persecution. Oh boy. The police forbade the Academic Society of God, Christ, and Charity and other centers which were linked to that of functioning. And because of this, there was great mobilization by the spiritualistic movement with the authorities until in September 6th of that same year, they were received by Emperor Dom Pedro II, and at least for a while, things were peaceful again. This concludes this video about the other religions during the time of the empire. I hope you liked the video, and if you did like the video, be sure to hit that like button. Then right after that, hit that subscribe button, not forgetting to hit the notification bell. That's very important also. And most important of all, share this video with as many people as you possibly can, so that each time more people may know of the wonders of the wonderful city. And as usual in this channel, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!